Hi everybody, and welcome to week 11 or week 5.5, depending on which courses you're teaching. This message is really intended for the people that are teaching in the core program or the Angel platform at this point. If you are in Engage or the accelerated program at this point, hold off on too much of this information, as I will send out your own reminders here in a few days. As a reminder for my folks that are teaching in Engage, the last day of classes is this Friday, March 18th. Please make sure that students are aware that homework must be submitted no later than midnight on Friday in order for it to count for this quarter's work. In addition to that, make sure that they are aware that they have that end of quarter survey that they can go ahead and complete so that we can start accruing some data to make sure that we're providing the best experiences possible for students. Final grades are due by March 21st, which is Monday. I know that is a very short turnaround time. We do pull the grades starting on Tuesday here at the campus level and then as a college on Wednesday. So it's very important that grades are up and posted and correct. If I do check them very regularly, so as you are completing them, shoot me an email that says they're ready to go. And that way I can just verify them. But just keep an eye on your Rasmussen email or make sure that your phone number is updated in UltiPro heading into next week so that if I do need to call you real quick to make a change or a correction, we make connections so that you don't have to end up doing grade changes. As a reminder, our incomplete period, again, this is for students who request it and you have approved it, runs from the 18th through April 1st at the latest. And the spring setup of courses is also due by April 1st. As we start looking at final grades, just a few quick reminders. I know many of you have seen this from me before, but make sure you check for any ungraded work. Oftentimes there will be a student that pops something in there that sometimes we've given them permission to do and sometimes we haven't. But if there are ungraded items, those need to be graded. You need to have that number be at 0. In order to check that, you open the navigation bar in your Angel platform and click on Tasks, and then you should see a section that says Ungraded Items. I also would appreciate if you could go ahead and run a PDF of your gradebook. That is found in the Manage tab, clicking Gradebook and Print Grades, Generate PDF. This allows you to really easily spot check for holes in your gradebook. Those all need to have grades. It may be something that a student was going to submit something later and never did, but they need to be zeroed out. I keep a pretty close eye on that throughout the quarter to make sure that we don't have holes in the gradebook, but you should make it a habit as well. From there, you will want to generate a new PDF once you know that all of your grades are in. One of the things to really be aware of is that oftentimes if a student submitted something and you sent it back to them and said, I will give you 5 days to revise, if they have sent you a revision or they have sent you something after you have put a grade in the gradebook, just make sure that grade transferred over. Sometimes it doesn't, and it's very unfortunate, and it's very hard for the dean to locate if there is a problem, so please make sure you take extra care on that. Make sure that when you are looking at these final grades now, you are rounding to the nearest whole number. There can be no decimals put into a final grade entry. In order to enter your final grades, you're going to go down to, you're going to grade by assignment, you're going to click final grade entry, and you're going to go ahead and put in the nearest whole number into the percentage column. You also will not be putting in any comments for final grades, so make sure you don't put anything in those boxes. Again, final grades need to be entered in your course no later than Monday at 5 p.m. If you miss that deadline, it is very possible that you will need to be doing grade changes for every student in your class, and it is very cumbersome and frustrating. So make sure that you meet that deadline and shoot me an email once your gradebook is completed to the best of your knowledge, so that I can do a quick spot check and make sure I catch anything that might need to be caught as well. Again, I don't want you to have to do the extra work of a grade change request. Grade change requests will be needed if the final grades are not entered by the deadline or if there is a calculation or entry error. So just be aware of that. Incomplete grade submission process. So incompletes are something that the student needs to make the request of you prior to the last day of the quarter, and you are the one that needs to approve it. Really, it has to be due to some extenuating circumstances, and you are going to be the best judge of that. So make sure you if a student has requested it, you have the right to look at it and see if the circumstances really warrant an incomplete. The time frame for the incomplete cannot exceed 2 weeks, but it doesn't need to be the full 2 weeks based on what you've determined as the extenuating circumstance. A grade change must be submitted before the start of next quarter, so I will need grade changes submitted for any student with an incomplete prior to April 4th. And the instructor needs to complete the instructor needs to complete the incomplete request in Salesforce, and the dean also reviews the request. If the request is approved, the instructor is responsible for communicating with the student the time frame to complete the work, as well as what work needs to be done. You will place an I in the gradebook for the final grade entry as of now if they are getting an incomplete, and then you will need to go back in later and submit a grade change. Once the incomplete time frame is complete, you will go back into the gradebook, you will regrade any of the items that you approved for the student to be working on, and then you will go ahead and submit the grade change. In order to do grade changes, you will need to go in through Salesforce. You will need to do this in order to submit an incomplete request, so for one that you have approved, as well as any grade changes. So again, we go to grade change requests, we click new, and you will pick from the drop-down menu. You will either pick incomplete request or grade change, depending on what you're looking at. Make sure everything is entered in, so you need to specifically be adding in there the assignments to be completed, the date of completion, and what the grade will be if the student does not finish the additional work. Make sure, again, every box is filled in because the campuses use this information to help make sure a student then is successful and follows what you have requested of them. Finally, you'll get a confirmation where you will just click continue, and it comes to a dean similar to looking like this, where the dean then processes it through. Any grade changes must be completed for incomplete grades, calculation clerical errors, incorrect final grade entries, or late final grade entries. Same process is through Salesforce, except then you will choose that grade change option. Again, after the student has their 2-week incomplete period, you will go in and submit a grade change for them. It's the same process, so I'm not going to go through that. But spring quarter reminders, just a few things to make sure that you're aware of. Set up your class for spring 16 or classes by Friday, April 1st. No fool in there. Students are getting enrolled and funneled into classes earlier and earlier. So it's important that that first day that they log in, they see your announcement welcoming them, laying out your general expectations, and offering them guidance on where they should go those first couple days, especially those days before the modules actually open. So generally speaking, redirecting them to the Getting Started tab is a great thing to do, the Student Lounge, and so that they can view their syllabus. Spring Development Week is March 29th through the 31st. This quarter we will have special focus on Blackboard training as we are ramping up to roll Blackboard forward for our July start. It is very important you complete that training. There is time built into the development week, but you will be getting an email hopefully on the 18th or 19th with the Blackboard information on where you go and how you can go ahead and start that training. Please make sure you review your course for any changes and update your announcements accordingly. And then finally, check your course materials. Make sure that you have access to the newest book if it has changed. You can use the guide at guides.rasmussen.edu/VitalSource with the password of AAOPD. I hope you have a most wonderful very end of your quarter. I look forward to talking with you and seeing you during Professional Development Week. If I don't get to talk to you, have a great week off. We'll talk soon.